see if we can accommodate everyone. So I appreciate your patience with us. Today I have just a couple of announcements before we get started. If you do want to join our club, females or males, you can be an associate member. Please see Miss Betty right here. Betty, wave your hand. She has applications you can join. Also, if you are an elected official or a candidate in the upcoming election, get ready. We're going to go ahead and go across the room like we always do and introduce everybody. So we'll start over here if anybody wants to do that in order there.
I'm Emily Beatty, and I'm chairman of the Bradley County Republican Party, and I'm also on the state executive committee for the 10th senatorial district. As we were all in this room redistricted, I will now be in the 1st senatorial district on the ballot in August, and I would appreciate it. There's a lot of confusion about committee woman. We have a committee woman and a committee man, so I'm not running against John Stanberry. We have a man and a woman that sit on the board, and I would appreciate your vote in August. Thank you.
Okay. You want to speak, Brad?
Yes. Hi there, I'm Rachel Lowe. My husband is Adam Lowe. He's running for state senate. It takes a village to run this campaign across 4 counties, so I'm here while he's at another meeting today. But yes, we're excited. We're running across 4 counties, and we would appreciate your vote in August. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Troy?
I'm Troy Weathers, and I'm running for the 24th District House seat for Cleveland and part of Bradley County.
Hello, I'm Kevin Raper, and I'll be speaking in a moment, and I'll introduce myself. So I won't take your time.
I'm Rex Banker, and also a candidate. Michael Blake, County Commission, District 3.
I'm Cindy Slater, County Commission, District 5. I can't stand up.
Erica Davis, County Commission, District 6.
Okay.
Nancy Casey, Brandon County School Board, District 1.
Okay.
Josh Taylor, Bradley County Board of Education, 4th District, and I'm also on the ballot in August. So I would appreciate everyone's vote on that also.
Okay. I think that's. Oh, go ahead.
And Jenkin representing Israel First.
All right. So Josh is going to say our pledge and our prayer for us. We're going to do both at one time. If you can stand up, the flag is here on the wall.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you this day for this opportunity to come together. I pray that you bless our time and our fellowship here today. Lord, I pray for each of these candidates as they come to speak in just a moment. Lord, I pray for each and every elected official. Lord, that you would lead them and guide them in all things, Lord God. May we all be found in thy will. Pray, Lord, for the food here today, Lord God, for the nourishment for our bodies. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.
Amen. So I'm going to introduce our speakers today. We will be going in alphabetical order, like we always do. Each candidate will have 15 minutes to speak, and I will be running a timer. So if you think you're getting close to your time, just look at me. I'll give you kind of a little heads up there. So we're going to start with the representative here for Mr. Farless, and then Mr. Raper will go, Mr. Wagner, and Mr. Weathers will be last. So you guys just go ahead and do that. They will be bringing food and things in between that, so sorry for the interruption there.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Cleveland. Are we good? All right. My name is Jane Galley, and like you, I am a local. I have been here since 1983 and started off in Cleveland as a waitress up at the Holiday Inn, what used to be. And the first real representation of Cleveland, the first person that I met spoke to me with these words, "Little girl, what can brother do for you? And you can't hear. The first words I heard from Cleveland that really represented Cleveland was from a man of God who came up to me when I was a waitress, and he said, "Little girl, what can Brother Littlefield do for you?" And that was my introduction to Cleveland. Like I said, I've been here since '83. I am a mother. I have birthed my children here. I've raised my children here. And I'm also a local artist, a potter, a painter, known for making peacocks and working with children. But a lot of you have already intersected with my life through church affiliation and prayer. And I have been praying for this city now for almost 40 years. And so it is my privilege to stand before you as a representative of the, what I believe will be the next 24th District House of Representatives, Israel Farless. He sends his apology. He knows you are women of influence, and he recognizes the good work that you've been doing for the Republican Party. But unfortunately, he is out of town, and so he has sent me to represent him. A great privilege, a great honor, and I'm thankful to stand in his place. He does recognize the concern because he is not here. He has asked me to assure you, because of the man of foresight that he is, the man who deals with details ahead of the need. He has already secured absolute permission from his employers, should he be elected, to take leave of absence whenever he is called up to Nashville, so he can be fully invested and dedicated to the office. Israel Farless, in his own words, has asked me to relay, "I have no other agenda than to be a true representational voice for my constituents. I am a family man, a businessman, and not a politician." Now, in my words, I want to share, because I have known this man since he was about 7 years old, when I was working in a child outreach called Hosanna. And I've watched him through these years mature into the man that he is. He is a statesman. From what I see, he is a statesman, the kind of person that we originally set into office when we first founded this nation. He believes in transparency. He is a proven fighter, and he will stand on the right side of an issue regardless of what comes. And I have seen him stand alone, and I have seen him win on that right side. The betterment of family, his community, his state, and this nation are what is most important to him. He has a lovely wife, Jessica, and 3 daughters, Trinity, Avian, and Ella. And so he is personally concerned, as we are, for school safety, which is much needed. Also, the drug addiction issue that has plagued our community, and other unseemly influences we're all aware of and are concerned about. Israel Farless is committed to leaving this office of the 24th District State Representative in Tennessee better than how he finds it now. And so what kind of qualifications does this man have? Well, he works for a company called Capstone, and he is a regional manager. In this position, he's responsible for helping his company manage an annual budget of $168 million, and he makes sure that his books are reconciled. He makes sure that annually they are always reconciled, and he maintains a very lean budget. I have seen him work miracles with the money and the funds that he has had. It's just been absolutely amazing to me. He is articulate, he is a detail man, and he is also a man that looks out into the future and identifies what's needed to be done now so that this issue that is coming will be addressed properly. He is not for raising taxes. He is for trimming the budget. He is also for reallocating the funds that we already have. He's always a top performer. Whatever position he has worked at, I have seen him work hard and be very, very effective, no matter what he does. In his company right now, he is achieving all industry standards and metrics, two of which I thought was very interesting. One is partnership approval, and also safety. So all four of the metrics that they use, it's very rare that all four are met at the same time. I have found this man to have the highest work ethics. I have been most impressed to see how hard he works for his family and for those that he believes in. For the last decade, I have watched this man on his own dime, with his own time, anytime he could, get up to Nashville just to observe and to see how is this working? How does Nashville work? How do all of these positions fit together? And he has gone just to learn how it operates, the legal process. As a result, he now has a very good understanding, a very strong understanding of how things move, of litigation, of legislations, and he is well equipped for this office. Most of all, he's a constitutionalist to the core. And he is not a quitter, but he's a winner. And above all, spiritually speaking, he's a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, and he is a God-fearing man. And he is a leader. And so the level of leadership that he will bring to this office will be with this understanding that the direction he gets will be the guidance he gives, and he will be led by conviction. And so it's my privilege to ask you for him, and he humbly asks you, would you please consider voting for Israel Farless for the 24th District of State Representative. And I personally ask you the very same with a whole heart, knowing that we have the best candidate. So thank you so much for your time and attention, and thank you again. We thank you for your vote. God bless you.
Let me adjust the mic here. Can everybody hear me? All righty. First of all, I'd like to thank the Women's Republican group for hosting this event. Jenkin's Daily, I want to thank, and I want to thank each of you for attending. I am Kevin Raper. I'm running for 24th District House of Representatives. I've been in the district for 32 years. I've lived on Peerless Road, Oak Street, and just off Ocoee all 32 years. I share that so you know that I share the same services, the same benefits, and concerns as everyone in District 24. To begin with, I am a blessed individual. God has blessed me greatly. I have two wonderful sons. Both are products of the local school system, and both their alma maters are the University of Tennessee, which is also mine. My youngest son, Manning, he is just a logistics person. He works for Axel Logistics in Knoxville. My older son is Nealon and Manning, and Nealon works for the University of Georgia. He's the director of football operations, and yes, I did say the University of Georgia. It's a little conflicting. But anyway, we love him just the same. So anyway, it's just one Saturday out of a year that we struggle. Okay, the next thing is I would like to talk about my wife, Lori. Lori, I'm going to take a line from an old James Taylor song. Oh, what a lady. Let me tell you something. She is so awesome. I love her so much. And got a little emotional. Excuse me. She attended all the local schools as well. She attended Stewart Elementary, Cleveland Junior High, and Bradley Central. And then she was also a graduate of Lee University. She has been in Cleveland her whole life. In addition to that, she is the daughter of Emery and Ruby Bryant, which own the Rebel Restaurant. And I also want to make this point about her. Her grandfather, E.F. Bryant, founded Fields of the Woods, so she has a great influence in Cleveland going way back. To add to my blessings, I grew up in Englewood, Tennessee, to two wonderful parents. They were both retiring educators. My mother was a speech pathologist. My dad, he worked in a variety of things. He was a classroom teacher. He was an assistant principal. He was a principal. He worked for the State Department of Education. He was a supervisor. And then, while he was retired, he worked on the school board in McMinn County. So education has been a great part of our life and been completely my whole life, been a big part. I am most blessed, though, because I am a member of First Baptist Church. I've been a member for 26 years and a great follower of Jesus Christ. I've spent my whole life in education. I have a degree from the University of Tennessee in mathematics. I have a master's degree from Tusculum in education, and I have an EDS in leadership also from Tennessee Tech University. And this leads me to my next point. I will support educators. This is going to be my first focus. Educators, who am I talking about? I'm talking about counselors, nurses, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and especially teachers. Teachers right now feel like there is a major disconnect between people making decisions in their profession. They feel like they have no voice, because groups creating laws have never taught a day in the classroom. My dad always told me, you cannot relate to what goes on in the classroom until you have been there, you've experienced unruliness, you have experienced parents, grades, testing, the work at home that is required, and then you're also trying to maintain a family. And of course, the curriculum demands that they have. Here's the best way to improve education, folks. This is a radical idea, but I think the president, all the way down from the Federal Department of Education, State Department of Education, governor, local school boards, and everyone should spend a week in the classroom with unruly children and see all the demands that come before a teacher, and I guarantee the priorities would change. My plan is to form a panel of teachers, have a representative from each school share concerns and formulate plans about the quality of expectations for education, which in turn will improve the lives of our children. My plan also includes changes to the tier system. The tier system is about attendance and behavior. And yes, we do have a truancy issue, okay? And what I would like to do is make the tier system optional for local, whether they can opt out of it and go to the older system. So, and by doing this promotes smaller government. So you can see leadership does matter. Next, I will preserve our beliefs and value system. America is so divided right now, folks. We are being attacked on almost every single front. The beliefs we grew up with seem to no longer exist. Faith, family, responsible finances have been removed from the landscape of America. How do you protect faith and family values? You say no when it comes before you in the legislative body. You take a stand. Financially, my plan is only a small part of what needs to occur. First, I would promote the reduction of taxes on groceries and gasoline. And I say that, I know that gasoline, gasoline tax goes straight toward our roads, but also we have people trying to make ends meet that are barely struggling to eat, to pay their utility bill, to pay gasoline. So we need to help those people, even if we took some months off as far as helping our roads. Next, I'd advocate for faster and more efficient Wi-Fi in District 24. Ms. Davis, I see her out there. She has been advocating that on the County Commission for years, and I applaud her for that. COVID exposed us, folks, when it came to internet. Some of our residents were without appropriate internet access, and which impeded our educational opportunities. So you can see leadership does matter. Last, I'll protect our liberties. The value of the United States Constitution has shifted and changed. I'm going to give you an example. Can you imagine in your lifetime you'd ever see an event where males were competing against males, so they couldn't compete? So what do? They declare themselves as a transgender person and compete against females. How stupid is that? I mean, stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I applaud Governor Lee for taking a stand in TSSAA and having great penalties in relation to that subject. I will protect our Second Amendment and never support the removal of the right to bear arms. I will protect the rights of our unborn children. Our citizens have a right, and there is no higher priority to me than the safety and welfare of our citizens, and in no certain order, we need to protect our schools, we need to protect our first responders, we need to protect our veterans, which they have served and they're not getting medical benefits. And the last thing is this: the poor old people down on the southeast end that are breathing in harmful gases from the landfill, we need to protect them. So you can see leadership does matter. The Republican platform is about conservative leadership, and I buy into that completely. The small government and numbers of things, Second Amendment, freedom of speech, I buy into every bit of it. But, they're all important to me, but I also want to say what's more important. The Republican platform is about opportunity, folks. It's about opportunity for everything we do well. I want to raise my kids and hopefully one of these days grandkids to give them opportunities for life itself. And that's what the Republican platform does. So you can see leadership does matter. I aspire to, in conclusion, live by faith, I want to model integrity and fidelity on all issues. I want to represent the values of District 24. I'll listen to the concerns and ideas of District 24. Finally, I did not move into the district to run for office. I'm running for office because I want to serve you, the District 24 family that I have lived with for 32 years. I'm Kevin Raper, and I approve of this message, and God bless you.
Thank you to the Republican Women's Organization for allowing us to speak. Thank you very much. I want to recognize this public service of our other candidates on school board and the county commission. That's usually a pretty thankless job, as well as the others. And it doesn't pay very much, and frankly, the pay is kind of pathetic, but their service is recognized and appreciated. I am Rex Wagner. I am a candidate for this District 24 seat. I am an attorney. I do have a prepared message. I'm going to try not to read it and think as I go. But I have an attorney. I've been in practice in Bradley County for over 25 years. I was born here, grew up in the Hopewell community. My family went to church in the Prospect community. I attended Hopewell School, graduated from Bradley Central High School. Then I went to Cleveland State, UTC, and ended up working at Bowater for over 10 years. Ended up working in the computer systems department there. Bowater transferred me out of state. And about a year after that, I packed my bags and sold my house, and I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and entered the Cumberland School of Law at Samford University. After several years there, I passed the Tennessee bar exam, passed the Alabama bar exam. And soon, though, I returned to Cleveland and have practiced law here. I own and operate the Wagner Law Office, and I've always wanted to come here, serve the community that I grew up in, and represent people in Southeast Tennessee. And it's been a privilege to do that. I've lived all over District 24. At different times I've been in Tasso, up off of North Lee Highway, out at Prospect, Hopewell, and even lived on Brown Avenue downtown for a little while. There are a lot of reasons around the state that people run for the legislature. Some want to promote their business back home, or they want to become more famous or popular, or they want to seek higher office, they want to run for Congress or something like that. That's not me. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm only doing it because I really want to do the job of being a legislator. A friend of mine recently asked me, who's known me for several years, said, he didn't know I had political ambitions. And I replied, I don't have political ambitions. I'm just seeking to serve my local community in the House of Representatives in Tennessee, and the only way to do that is run in the election. If elected, I will work hard as anyone on this job. I'm seeking position because I want to read laws, I want to draft laws, I want to amend laws, I want to debate those things, and I want to represent our community there in the legislature. I am running to keep Tennessee on a solid, conservative economic path. We need to protect our state from the many messes that are being created by career politicians all over the country. I want you to know who I am and what I believe. I believe in work. I believe work is great dignity in work. Our students need to learn that they're supposed to get an education and go out into the economy and get a job and support themselves and their families. We have adults that need training or retraining to get new opportunities or to improve their position in life. That's something that the state could be a very big help with. As part of this, we've got to build a strong economy where people are respected for whatever job they do, whether it's a grocery store worker, a warehouse worker, social worker, truck driver, or an accountant. All of our jobs play an important role in our world and in our nation. We have to keep our economy strong. The private enterprise economy supports everything. It enables people to pay the taxes that provide the public services. Jobs are what support charities, nonprofit organizations like United Way, Habitat, Family Promise, Red Cross. All that comes because people can go and earn a living and have money in their pocket and keep their property, their money that they earned, and contribute and use it in the ways that they choose. I will work for policies that build and strengthen our economy. Regarding education, I don't just support education, I believe in education. I'm a living example how a young kid from rural Bradley County can grow up and benefit from an education. I will work for state policies that are designed to train students to go from school to work, whether it's high school, vocational, or colleges and universities. The majority of jobs do not require a college course, but they do require job skills. They require life skills. All of our educational systems need to be teaching those things. I'm going to give you a simple example. We need to be you hear on the news that we don't have enough trained truck drivers. We need to be training truck drivers, professional, safe truck drivers. I mean, someone might say, well, you can't teach high school kids to drive a truck. Well, you can't, that's true. But you can teach them how the economy works, how transportation systems work, and how that fits into our role as our economy. There's not enough economic education. But we can teach that being a professional, safe truck driver is an important role to play in our world. That's a good job. It should be treated as such. Now, that's just an example. The same concept could be applied to numerous other jobs that they're important to our world. Regarding education, it's time to move beyond just funding new buildings. We need to look at the substance of what we are teaching, and there's nowhere is this more important than our colleges and our universities. I've spent a lot of time in classrooms. I've taught classes and as an adjunct professor at Cleveland State and one time at Chattanooga State. I've been in the classroom. In my life, I want to bring the value of education full circle by giving back, by teaching when I can. I teach clients in my office every week. Sometimes that's easy, sometimes that's difficult. But by being full circle, I mean bring it back to, my family supported the Cleveland State Scholarship Fund, been active in that. And for you and your kids, you can go to Cleveland State and you can apply for the Wagner Family Scholarship. So I'm bringing scholarships here. Our family has brought that to our community. We've benefited from education, and we're going to have that there for the future. I believe we need to fix our existing roads. I will work to fix our roads. Public safety. I believe public safety is a top priority. My undergraduate degree is in criminal justice. I was never a police officer, but I understand the challenges of that work. Part of that program, you had to do an internship with different organizations. I did an internship with the Chattanooga Police Department over one semester of school. As part of that, I spent 1 week riding with a patrol officer who was shot and killed just a few years after I rode with him. It still bothers me today. Another very dedicated officer that I met was hurt and burned partially in a car accident while on duty. I understand the things that they go through. It's a very, very tough job. There's been a lot of disrespect for our police and law enforcement people generated in this country in the last few years, and that has to stop. Putting more police on our streets is not a simple process. It takes a lot of training, and it's expensive. To put one officer on the street 24 hours a day requires you to hire at least 4 officers. The governor in his State of the State message recently asked for 100 new state troopers. You may like that, you may not. It may depend on how you've interacted with state troopers in the past. But you're not going to have 100 state troopers on the streets 24 hours a day. You're going to have a lot fewer because it takes multiple officers to fill one position 24 hours a day. Our fire, ambulance, and emergency services staff need better support. They need better career opportunities. Many years ago, I was in a car accident late at night over in Polk County. I had the unfortunate experience of being hauled to the hospital in Cleveland in the back of an ambulance strapped to a backboard. You'll learn to appreciate their professionalism, their dedication, and their willingness to be there. It was a very unpleasant experience, but I was really glad they were there. That's also true for the hospital workers, the emergency room nurses, and doctors that took care of us that night. I will work to support these people. There are many other issues that need to be addressed. I want to see small businesses treated as a valuable part of our state and our economy, and not just treated as, quote, a source of revenue. That's not how they need to be treated. They create jobs and they make this world a better place. There are problems. There are mental health issues, drug abuse issues, drug addiction issues that are going to have to be dealt with. The mental health issues are not being adequately dealt with in our community, and neither are they statewide. Too many of these problems end up being dealt with by our courts and the police. We need a better way. We're going to have to find that. I don't have an immediate solution, but it's going to have to be looked at. I believe freedom must be protected. I will work to protect all of our constitutional rights under the Constitution, and I have the skills and the training to help do that. In my law practice, I've worked with a lot of veterans on many kinds of issues. I've always enjoyed hearing about what they did and how they served and how they worked to protect our freedoms. I've been an employee of a Fortune 500 company, and I own a small business, and I've been an employee of a small business. I know what it's like to own and operate a small business in good times and in difficult times. You know, the COVID business taught us we had to adjust, and sometimes we had to do that very, very quickly. I will work to protect the most important things in life: faith, family, life, liberty, and jobs. As your representative, I will explore many issues. Are there things that we can do to keep utility rates down? That would help everyone, especially people on fixed incomes. The state of Tennessee is in good financial condition. We want to keep it that way, because the state maybe look at how they can reduce the mandates placed on local governments. Can they help cities and counties reduce their debt and keep taxes low? A final point or two. There are a lot of lobbyists and advocates that are in Nashville wanting money for this and for that. One thing that will always be on my mind is that the average working people out here don't have a lobbyist. And I'll always remember that. I will work very hard at this job. If I make a mistake, I'll admit it, and I'll explain it, and I'll go on. I will approach this from a humble mindset and as a servant heart. I have the training, a life experience to be a productive and effective state representative for people of Cleveland and Bradley County. My commitment to the people of this district is that I will listen to all concerns, I will evaluate everything, I will research things, and I'll do what's best for this community and for this state. It's an office that does affect things statewide. You can't ignore that. Let's work together to keep Tennessee strong. Thank you.
This is my water, so I put it up here just in case. I'm back there about to thirst to death. Well, thank you, ladies, for having us here today. I'm Troy Weathers, and I am also running for the 24th District House seat. Tell you a little bit about who I am. I was born and raised here in Cleveland, Tennessee. I think yesterday I said I was raised on South McCoy Street, so I went back and got my birth certificate, and that's where I was born and raised at. I have traveled a few places. I have lived in the county. Last time I checked, I still live in Cleveland. My address said Cleveland, Tennessee. Maybe I don't understand that, why people make that an issue that I live in Bradley County. But Cleveland is my home, and it always has been. And I'm proud to say that anywhere I go. So let me tell you who I am. I was born and raised here. I went to school here, went to East Cleveland, when that was a school, went to Michigan Avenue, and then went to Bradley Central High School. At that point, I decided that I wanted to join the military, and I went into the United States Army. I took basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Took advanced training, AIT they call it, at Fort Knox, Kentucky. I didn't get to see the gold, though. I did look. I left there, and I was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I became a motor sergeant in the military and never got deployed overseas. But however, we got a lot of times you go on alert when things happen. I'll give you a memory that I have very vaguely. When I was in the military, when I joined the military, I went basic training, and that was when Jimmy Carter was the president, and Ronald Reagan was coming in office. And if you remember, that's when the hostages was taking. Okay, and I remember the day when my drill sergeant came out, and when the hostages were taken, he said, "Gentlemen, we're going to war." Let me tell you, a 19-year-old got scared. It's an eye-opener. So I understand how important it is for the people who serve. Yesterday was Flag Day. Let me tell you, that means something to me. My grandchildren, and I get a little bit emotional, so I apologize if I do, but my grandchildren the other day, they saw that my flag was torn. And they brought me a flag to hang. So, and if you look at my Facebook, we took a picture of it because it meant something to us. That flag and what it stands for and what people gave their lives for and served for. So it was a special time in my life, and I don't regret it. I left the military and I went to Atlanta, Georgia. So I haven't lived here all my life. I went to Atlanta, Georgia. I went to work for a company called Ryder Truck Lines. I sent resumes all over the country, and for some reason they liked me. And I interviewed, and they gave me a great job. I was telling someone this story yesterday. I was 21 years old when I got out of the military, and they called me. I was living here in Cleveland. I came back here to work, and they called me and they said, "We'd like to offer you a position," and they wanted to pay me $40,000 a year plus bonus. I don't know if you remember what money was in 1982, but that's a lot of money for a 21-year-old kid. Went there and worked for 3 years, and got married. And my wife and I decided that it was very important that when we have a child, we wanted to come back to Cleveland, Tennessee. And that's exactly what we did. We moved back 3 years later, came here and lived, and I've lived here ever since. Opened a small business, so I've been a small business owner. I was in small business for right at 5 years. And then I decided to change careers, and I was very fortunate that a company here in Cleveland gave me an opportunity, Wholesale Supply Group. They're a plumbing electrical supply. I worked for them 26 years, and I retired as a vice president of their company. I am married. I have 3 daughters, and now someone may say in another meeting that, well, 2 of them aren't your daughters, but they're my stepdaughters, but they're my daughters. I had a stepdaddy, and I hate to be called stepson, just so you know. I treat my daughters just like they're mine. So please don't use that against me, because that's sensitive. But I have 3 great kids. One's a teacher, one's a nurse, and one works for Life Bridges. Sorry. And I have a wife that's very dear to me, supportive. She is a librarian at Oak Grove, and she gave her life to education. I have 2 great son-in-laws, and let me tell you, that's a big deal. When you only have girls, you certainly worry about son-in-laws. I have one son-in-law that is a special ed teacher and also assistant head coach at Bradley High School. And then I have another son-in-law that is a PE teacher at Waterville. I say all those things to tell you that I'm very obviously invested in education. As you know, and I've always say, people probably get tired of hearing me say this, I was on the school board for 20 years. And Rex, I appreciate you making comments of I'm not a career politician. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not a career politician, but let me just go ahead and tell you, I got paid $200 a month to serve on the Bradley County Board of Education for 26 years. And I serve because I want to do what's right for kids and what's right for our community. And I'll assure you, during that process, that's exactly what we did. We worked hard. We believed in Cleveland and Bradley County, and we wanted to make sure the kids had what they needed. we talked yesterday, there's a question, we were in a forum yesterday and it was questions. And they talked about the students missing 60 days of school. Well, let me go ahead and tell you guys, that don't happen in Bradley County. I'm not sure where that number came from. It's just one of the truth, but it doesn't happen here. If you miss 10 days, you're going to go see an officer. You're going to get a visit. If you're a teacher, you know that. I'm not telling something that's a secret. And I also would tell you that we have one of the highest graduation rates in the state of Tennessee here in Bradley County. So if you couldn't be missing a lot of schools, Mr. Taylor, a lot of days if you were not graduating, because you just about have to have that education. So we have got a great system, and I certainly will not ever take credit for everything, but I do believe leadership is important. I think it's important that you have great people around you. Rick Smith here used to be our finance director. Him and we've talked several times. We've had arguments of what do we need to do here, how do we do that, but it's just important that we had everybody bought into making schools as well as we possibly could and making sure every child had an opportunity. Now, we talk about, Rex, I appreciate you bringing up truck drivers and other things. I don't know if you're familiar with the Pie Center. The Pie Center is a building that we have, the county has graciously bought for us and gave us money to renovate the inside of it to a dark dry shell, we call it. The Pie Center is going to change the way education works in Cleveland and Bradley County. Let me give you a couple examples. We have done some test pilots, okay, for some of the things that's going to be in there. So I'm going to give you one of Wright Brothers Construction, which they're in Charleston, Tennessee. And they have taken students, now they're going into our Pie Center, they're going to operate out there, but we started a pilot program with them. They have taken students for the last 2 years and went ahead and started the program at their facility. Last year in May, they hired 2 of our students from Bradley High School. At the end of when the graduation was over, they left town to Alabama to work for them. This is important. They're 18 years old. They left home and they went to work for, in my opinion, one of the greatest companies in our area. Here's what's more important. They made $2,000 plus a week. Now, I don't know you, but I don't know very few kids 18 years old make that kind of money. And just so you know, we saw the checks. Now, let me tell you why we saw the checks. Because the student had no idea, and he didn't have a checking account. So he couldn't cash them in Alabama. So in the Pie Center, recognizing things that we need to do, in the Pie Center, we have partnered with Southern Heritage Bank, and they're going to put a branch in our Pie Center. So our students will be able to open up checking accounts and figure out how that manages before they leave town or as they grow up, I guess. So it's a great opportunity for students that don't want to go to college. I don't know if I have parents tell me over the years that their child goes off to college and they still don't know what they want to do. And then they end up going to college and having $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 of debt and still not know what they want to do. And then end up working for, I don't want to say a restaurant because I don't want to insult a restaurant, but just going somewhere and not making any money, okay? So it's not fair to those kids. This program we have today in the Pie Center, it starts in August, by the way. It's been a journey, 6 years we've worked on this project, and that's important. But we have the community that's bought into it, businesses has bought into it, and it's going to make a difference. And here's one of my goals in life, just so you know, as being on the school board. I have a deep concern that I want my daughters, and I want my son-in-laws, and I want my friends. I want you to live here in Cleveland, Tennessee. I have a great desire for that because, to be honest with you, I don't want to have to drive to Atlanta to see my daughters or have to drive to Nashville or Knoxville. I want to drive across town in Cleveland, where I live. The only way we can do that is we have to give opportunities to our students to make sure they have jobs that will change their lives and they can make a living. See, I have a problem working for minimum wage because my daughter can't eat. So we've got to make sure that the jobs we bring to Cleveland, they're high-paying jobs and great opportunities. And let me just compliment our leaders in Nashville, our county commissioners. They have done a lot of work to make sure that we've got good companies here that pay well. And that means your kids and my 2 grandsons are going to, I'm hoping and praying that they're going to find a great job here when they get to that age. that they won't go anywhere. But that's important to us. That's important to our future in Cleveland, Tennessee. Here's another thing. So I can talk about education all day, okay? I'm sorry. That's in my blood, and I'm not ashamed of it. I also would tell you that I'm 100%, there's a new law that's going into effect July the 1st. It's called Truth in Sentencing. I was fortunate enough to be in Nashville when they were debating that bill. Does anybody know it? Now, I know some of you don't, but anybody know what the truth in sentencing is? It's as critical, okay? This is a life changer for people, for the good people, by the way. As you know, when people make terrible crimes, for instance, kill someone, rape your daughter, any of those things, we have now got a law that says the top 10 crimes that we're going to do something different. And fortunately, I was up there when they were debating about it, and I thought, man, we're finally going to do something right for the victims of Tennessee. In the past, if someone raped my daughter, I'd hope that never happened. It wouldn't be a good day for him if I could find him, just so you know. Sorry, I'm human. But if they were to do that, and the judge said, you're going to get 60 years in prison. Well, what would take place was that in 7 years, he comes up for parole. So I would have to, as a father, and as my daughter and her mother, we'd have to go wherever the parole hearing is and beg them, please, keep him arrested, keep him in jail. That happened every single day in people's lives. And it wasn't fair to victims. And I get excited. I'll calm down just a minute. Tell me, Rick, say, calm down, son. But it's not fair to the victims. I got 3 minutes. It's not fair to the victims to go through that. So the new law today, if a judge was to sentence that guy that raped my daughter, that's never happened, by the way. But again, if he sentenced him for 50 years, truth in sentence means he goes to jail for 50 years. And I never have to see his face again. So that's important. And I spoke to the leader of the House of Representatives yesterday, and he said, we didn't get all we wanted in that bill, but we're going back. And we're going to get more stuff for the victims to make sure they're taken care of. I can only tell you that I work hard for you. My 20 years experience, I think you've got to have political savvy if you want to go to Nashville. I believe I can go up there and go to work tomorrow for you, making a difference and making a change for Bradley County and the city of Cleveland. What I say is what I do. I'm not afraid to stand in the gap. I'll give you one example of that. And when I knock on doors, I tell people this. The critical race theory, do everybody know what that is? As you know, the state of Tennessee said that we are going to not be able to teach that in schools. Well, just because we make a law in Nashville doesn't mean it comes all the way back down here to Cleveland. So our board, Nancy Kaysen, she was on our school board, I asked our board, let's do a resolution to tell people that that's where we stand. No critical race theory teaching at all. So we did that, and we sent out emails to our teachers that this is what the Board of Education said. If you teach that, you lose your job. Now, that's not very popular because you're afraid they're going to run through the door here and shoot me or whatever. But we took a bold stand on that, and that was the leadership that I brought to the school board, because I believe it's important that you tell people what you believe. I don't think you go hide behind things. I think you say, this is where I'm at. You know, and when I'm knocking on doors, I tell people what I believe. They may believe something else, and it's okay. But I do believe I'm conservative, and I'm a Republican with common sense. And that's what I bring to the table for you today. I will think of you, and I'll think of our families, and that's what I'll always protect. Thank you. Remember me on August the 4th. Vote for me. Thank you.
So that's all that we have today. If you didn't get a sheet of some upcoming events, I've got some extra ones. Our next meeting is July 20th here. We're going to try it again here at Jenkins at noon, so we will see you guys there. Thank you for coming out today.